Blessings, positive energy. Thank you so much for joining me today in this sacred space. Let's take a moment to breathe. All right. Today I will be doing a 3-card spread with the Oliver Hibert Tarot deck. This is a very beautiful deck. These are the card backs. This is just a glimpse at what the cards look like. If you want to see them in more detail, I have flip through videos on my channel as well as an unboxing, so you can hop over and see that. I really love working with this deck. It was my very first tarot deck, and it came with a beautiful leather pouch, which I absolutely love. It also has a 79th bonus card, Magic, which I will include in today's shuffle because I love bonus cards. But something to note with this deck is that it did not come with a physical guidebook. There's also no online PDF available for this book. So having it being my first deck and practicing and training on tarot, I found an app that I'm going to share with you today, and it's the Tarot Card Meanings app. I cannot find it in the Apple Store. However, there are tarot card meaning apps in the Apple Store, but this particular app I think may only be available in the Google Play Store for Androids. And it opens like this, and the cards are broken down into major arcana cards and minor arcana cards. And then you can see each of the different cards and their meanings. And just clicking on a random one, it shows you the keywords, the past, the present, the future, yes, no interpretations, and then astrology, what it corresponds to. So today I'll be using this app. However, I will state that with most of my readings, I rely on my intuition and what the spirits and the universe is telling me. So even though I will be showing how I use the app to help with my readings and to offer some guidance, most of what I say will be coming from what I feel from spirit, what I feel from the energies that surround me. So we're just going to give the deck a quick, nice shuffle. Oops, we had a card flying. All right, so just giving it a quick, nice shuffle. I always like to break apart the deck. So just set them down and then bring them back together. Like I said in some videos, shuffling can take me a while. So if you want to step out and get tea, incense, anything of the sort, now would be the good time. All right, so today I'm feeling that this card on the top is ready and is the card meant for here. I'm also feeling like I should shuffle again, and the card is here. So like I said, there are no rules, at least I don't believe there should be rules when it comes to shuffling. Because of the nature of tarot and oracle cards, I think it depends greatly on the reader, what you feel, what the universe is telling you, when to stop, how to stop, and how to read. So I really don't believe that there are strict rules when it comes to tarot. All right, so these are 3 cards, past, present, future. And I'm going to flip them over. So for the past, we have the King of Swords. For the present, we have Page of Swords. And the future, we have the Star from the Major Arcana. Okay, beautiful spread. All right, so we're going to jump into the app. So like I said, there's Major Arcana cards here. However, the King of Swords is for the Minor Arcana, so we'll place Minor Arcana. It's then broken down into the different suits. So suit of Cups, suit of Swords, suit of Wands, suit of Pentacles. So we're going to go to the suit of Swords. And then we have the King at the top here. So we're going to click that. And we're starting with the past. So I'm going to look at 2 things. The keywords, which are a mature, authoritative man, assertive, authority, government, or legal leadership. And the past, it says your strength lies in your intellect. Looking ahead and taking authority into account will lead you to turn your collection of good ideas into reality. So I find this to be very interesting. Your strength lies in your intellect. I think that's a very powerful statement coming from the King of Swords. I'm going to take a moment to actually look at the card and analyze the card. So he looks like, it's a very strong energy, a very in charge and almost knowing energy. And the strength relying on our intellect, it means sometimes, when it comes to us making decisions, Sometimes we draw our inspiration from a lot of different channels. In this case, it's pointing to a past where our decisions and what we did and our greatest strength may have been our intellect maneuvering certain situations. It also says looking ahead and taking authority into account will lead you to turn your collection of good ideas into reality. So we started in a place where we were relying on our intellect. We had our intellect. Our strength was what we knew, our brain, our cognition, and it's saying as we move forward, we're going to take that collection of good ideas and we're going to make it into reality. We're going to realize it. Because a lot of the times you may have, we may be intelligent beings. We may have good ideas. We may have creative bursts of inspiration and not flowing through us. However, having these things manifest into a reality, into making it real, is not something that is always realized in this specific time. So you may have had a past where you had very good ideas, where you were intelligent, but they did not necessarily manifest. They did not necessarily become a reality. So a lot of your ideas may have been forming. So your past, look back to your past now for a moment and think of the good ideas that you had. So I see this almost as if we need to take a time to reflect on the good ideas we had before. A stillness, a sense of look at how he's holding the sword, right? Look at the strength in the card. Look at the power. And I find it so interesting, these little symbols here, like almost a burst of, I don't know, I sense also a feminine spirit as well. And I like to normally, when I feel a sense of femininity and the spirit, it always to me speaks to this idea of giving birth. And I always say that even though I may attribute this to a sense of femininity, it doesn't mean necessarily that as a male you can't give birth to something wonderful. But in this card, I see it almost as if there is a creation, there is a birth of ideas, good ideas that would have existed in our past. And now we're reaching this point where we can turn these things into a reality, but first we must remember where we came from. And that's a very strong point that I'd like to just sit with for a moment. This idea that we are not going to disassociate ourselves with our past. We are not going to just wipe our past from our memory and say, okay, there was hardship, there was struggle, we've moved on, we're going to forget it. We're going to take a moment to look back at our past, and we're going to look at the great ideas. We're going to look at the things that led us and strengthened us, and in fact helped us to make it to the present. And we are going to make these ideas into reality. And this is actually something that is very personal to me on my journey. Because, I've studied, I'm not sure if I've mentioned this in videos before, but my master's is actually in psychology, and it took many years, of study. And I like to actually use a lot of what I've learned in psychology when I'm doing readings, because I studied the mind, I studied, the physical as well as the spiritual as well as the mental, mostly the mental. But I like to use that experience to guide me in what I did. So, for example, when I studied psychology, when I dedicated years of my life into studying the human mind and behavior, I reached a point where, I graduated and I started to work, and I almost forgot all of the little things that happened along the way that actually helped me reach the point where I could, graduate with a master's in psychology. So, for example, those artistic moments in my life, those creative moments in my life, the days where, I was a bit stressed and I sat and I drew something and I colored something, those moments where I meditated and, sat with my thoughts and did a lot of spiritual work and a lot of visualizations. And, for a moment at first, I forgot the things that crossed my path and that I encountered on my way to reaching where I was. And it was only perhaps in the midst of actually working in psychology and lecturing and, tutoring and whatnot, that I, stopped for a moment. And I believe it was a day at the beach when I just saw this very beautiful sunset before me. And I was like, wow, I have to capture this on camera, because it was just so gorgeous. I wanted, and then I sat there and I meditated. And then the next class I had when I tutored, I drew inspiration from this picture I had taken and from this moment that I had actually taken to sit with my thoughts, on myself. And I think it's so important that as we move forward in life, we don't just take with it the accomplishments that we've realized, those physical, those tangible things, like perhaps a degree or a new job, or even accumulating a certain amount of financial wealth. We take with it the things that led us there, that helped us get us there. So for example, those people, those moments, those bursts of creativity, whether it was us being in a choir and singing, whether it was us writing a poem a day, or, a journal, right? These things that used our intellect, that we used and was an inspiration to what we created back then. The things that we couldn't necessarily realize back then because we weren't in a position to make it into a reality. So for example, when I was studying, when I was working multiple jobs and studying, I wasn't in a position that I could go and take photos every day, or, practice, art every day and whatnot, because affording certain resources, were a bit difficult. And I had this very specific goal, which was, get the degree. But however, when I reached this point, I reflected on my past, realized what helped me get there, and being in a position now to make these things, these strengths that lied in my intellect into a reality, I was able to reflect, to go back, to see these things, these creative goals, to see these different things that were in my life and to birth them, right? Because like I said, there's a very strong energy of strength, and just this birth energy that comes forth. And another thing I want to stay on is it comes with assertiveness and authority, right? So there's assertiveness, there's an authority, there's a way of organizing our past self, right? There's a way that we were able to organize and draw lines in the sand in our past life. And a lot of times when persons see these cards, they usually talk about perhaps it was a particular figure in your life, whether it be a male authoritative figure, or perhaps whether it's a father or brother or lecturer or boss or whatnot. A lot of persons speak and interpret these cards by seeing this male energy and this energy of authority that would have helped us, develop this strength in our intellect that I was speaking of. However, my interpretation, what I'm feeling today, is not necessarily this male authoritative figure that would have guided us. Perhaps this figure may have been a spirit. So not an actual male in your life, but a male energy, whether it was God, right? Or perhaps one of the male archangels. There was this guiding spirit, this that helped us on our journey as we developed our intellect, as we found strength with this knowledge that we had, that we were using as we traversed and as we navigated the circumstances of our past life. So I'm not sensing necessarily that there was a male that you can identify and say, yeah, this is Bob, and Bob helped me, get that job, and Bob had great ideas, and he helped me with my intellect, and that's how I got where he was, or there's a male in my past that was significant. I'm not sensing that today. On another day, I'll read the same card and I'll sense it though. But today I'm not sensing that. Today I'm sensing more that it laid within yourself. Within yourself, your intellect, your actions, and your ability in the past, how you did it, how you maneuvered your circumstances, and how you were in a place where you may not have necessarily been able to realize or bring into reality these good ideas you had. However, you still had them. And now that you're moving forward, this idea that we can make it into a reality and make it into something tangible. Not necessarily the big goal we had, whether it was the job, the financial goal, the house, the car, or the degree or whatnot. Not necessarily that big goal we had, but the smaller things in our life that we use and were used to help us achieve that grander, bigger goal. So that's what I'm sensing from this particular card. I believe it's perhaps an unusual reading of King of Swords, but that is what I am sensing in my spirit. So that's what I'm going to present. So the next is the Page of Swords. So we're going to go back to the app and we're going to click the page, right? So it says here, Page of Swords, aggressive, challenging, change, intellect, vigilant. So we're going to go to the present meaning, which says there is unexpected news on its way. In order to benefit from the changes coming, you must rely on your intelligence and ability to adapt. So I think that these two cards are definitely working in harmony with each other. So in the past, we were talking about this intellect you had, and this thought and these mental processes and what you used and what you had in mind but may not have necessarily been able to realize. And now we're at the Page of Swords, right? As a present, and we're talking about the fact that the Page of Swords is, there's a bit of unexpected news. And we can, in order to benefit from this and benefit from these changes, we have to rely on our intellect and our ability to adapt. So remember, it's so interesting because we were talking about this intellect in the King of Swords cards. And we were talking about the fact that there were things that may have helped us reach the point where we reached, not necessarily the big goals that we achieved, but the little things we did on the way, whether it was journaling, meditating, painting, art, those artistic, those creative things within our intellect. And now we're at the Page of Swords and we're saying you can benefit from it. You're about to receive news of some sort, you know? And in order for this news to be good for you, in order for you to benefit from this news, you know, you have to engage your intellect, and your ability to adapt is very important for you to in fact move forward with this news. And when you look at the Page of Swords, the stance, right? The way the Page of Swords is holding the sword, right? Almost as if, you know, preparing, you know, there's a preparation because we're about to, something is about to happen. It's not necessarily happened to you, it's about to happen. And this kind of preparation stance and hold, almost as in, you know, prepare yourself, being ready in the present for this change that is going to come, you know, for this change. And another thing I find interesting in this card is look where they're standing. They're standing on an elevation. So it's telling me, what I read is elevate yourself. Where you are in life, make sure you have the best vantage point that you can see this change that you're about to, you know, that's about to enter your life. Make sure that you rise to the occasion and that you're not holding a view that is too low for you to truly benefit and know how to move when this change, when this unexpected news, when this thing that's about to enter your life happen. You know, be ready, elevate yourself, rise, lift up yourself. And this is very, 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 very important, I believe, this idea of elevation and lifting up ourselves. Because there are times, and you know, it's some persons who say, you know, that's pretty obvious. You know, you should always elevate yourself and you should rise in. But there are times when it's okay to hold back. There are times when the best move is actually to relax a bit in the situation and to let something come to you and to see yourself in a more relaxed and, you know, stagnant, almost not stagnant, you should never really be stagnant, but a simple calm position. But not this time. This time you are supposed to rise. You are supposed to be ready. You are supposed to be elevated for this change that is about to come. You're supposed to use your intellect, the things that helped you reach the position that you reached, that path you would have gone through, those things that you would have overcome through your different challenges, you know, through all of the stress and the tribulations, the things that you would have gone through, using your intellect to move past. You are to use that knowledge now, and you are to use that intelligence that you have now to further guide you on your path, that you may in fact reap the best possible rewards from this thing that is supposed to happen. So be on guard, be ready, you know, rise, elevate yourself, get yourself to the highest point you can in your life, where you can see what's happening. And this doesn't necessarily mean, you know, physically see. A lot of the times I talk about opening our third eye. opening our spirit self, opening that doorway where we can truly receive what is coming for us. So perhaps you can take a moment to do a bit more dream analysis. You can take a moment to sit with your more vision, to your visions and your moments where you feel more connected to your environment, right? You can take a moment to journal more and see what changes are happening in your life. Sit down, work through these changes, and then look at the best possible reactions or path you can follow that these changes can in fact work out to the best opportunity or reward for yourself, right? So that is what I'm reading from the Page of Swords. And we're going to go back to the Star. So we're going to go back in the app, back again, and then we're going to leave the minor arcana card readings and go to the major arcana readings. And we will hit the Star. So the Star has keywords: calm and serenity, destiny, hope, opportunity, renewal. And the future reading says, the time of renewal is approaching. You have chosen the right path to restore your mental and physical health. By being brave enough to choose the riskier roads, you will inspire those around you. So this is very, 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 very interesting, right? And the thing about when you draw a major arcana card in a reading is that it really is the card that kind of sets the theme, the grounding for the other cards. So the card that is from the major arcana is our future card. So it's almost as if saying that what we experienced in the past and what we are doing in the present is leading to us towards this future. And this future is very important to us, right? This future is from the major arcana. It's very important to us. And it's talking about a renewal approaching. And that if we chose this path to restore mental and physical health, this right path, and that by being brave enough to choose the riskier roads, you will inspire those around you. So, looking at this star, right, and seeing this path, and it talks about a riskier path. So remember before we were talking about elevating yourself to see which path was in fact the best one for you. This is almost telling you, for this great future, this important future that you have or that you're envisioning for yourself, it might call for you to take a risk now in the present. It might call for you to do something that's a bit outside of your box. So when you elevate yourself and you rise to the challenge, you examine your options, you might see that you have to do something that, it's a bit out there, right? Be safe though. But it might be a bit out there. However, this card is almost telling you to relax a bit. It's not a guarantee, but it's almost like, don't worry about it. Relax. When you follow this path that's risky, it's going to be good. It's going to be okay. It's actually going to not only be good for you, but it's going to inspire other people around you. So don't worry about it. This card is trying to tell you it's okay to take the riskier path. All right? It's telling you what you're doing now in the present might seem scary, but it's okay. It's okay. It is actually going to help you and other people, right? So we're looking at the star and we're looking at this. We're looking at how the liquid is pouring. And where is it pouring from? It's pouring almost from the head, right? And like I said before, my specialty is psychology. So I'm going to interpret it that it's pouring out of our mind's eye, right? And it's pouring from our mind's eye, this intellect, and it's pouring back into the river, right? It's pouring back into the river. So we're inspiring others with what we do. We're taking our intellect, right? We're taking our intelligence, what we've learned in the past, what we're doing in the present, and we're pouring it out into the world. We're pouring it out into the world. And it's gathering, and it's beautiful, and it's inspirational. And others are just coming, and they're drinking from our waters. They're going to learn from us, right? There's brilliance in the sky. There's brilliance. So there's not just this idea that we are giving everything. Look at the sky behind us. Look at the star. There are other lights in the sky. I remember with this card, I said it's often interpreted like they may have been a male figure, right? That would have in fact been encouraging or enlightening or impactful in your life somehow. So these lights are there. There were other figures there, whether male or female, they are there and they have us. It may not be a physical person. It may be God. It may be a spirit that has passed to the other side. But they are there. It's a brilliant light and it's encouraging and it's flowing. But then look at the other hand, right? Look at the other hand. It's pouring from our hands. And I think there's a bit, what I'm interpreting from this card right now is that, as you see, I said the first one is coming almost from the mind's eye, but this one is coming from our actual hand, right? She's holding it in her hand. So there's some, and when we talk about our hand, we're talking about, in our mind, it's very cognitive, it's very, thinking, and, we're plotting, and, we have these things going on in our minds. But when it comes to our hands are more physical. They're more, holding things, moving things, shifting things, things are being done, physically done. So we're also not just pouring from our mind, from our intellect, but these things, I remember we talked about manifesting things that we would have had in our vision, thoughts that we had, but may not be in a position in our past where we could make them into reality. And we talked about making these things into reality. And now, having made things into reality, we're actually creating these things with our hand and we're pouring it into the world, right? And it may not always hit this target, this pool where persons can drink from, but it's getting there. Look, it's getting there. And not only that, it's flowing in all different directions. It's flowing in all different directions. And this speaks to me to the idea of when you pour something in the world, we don't necessarily know who it's going to reach. Some of it is going to go into the collective river where people may drink from, but some of it may go to a plant that really needs it, a child that needed to hear it, a starving, artist, or perhaps a broken housewife. It may go to someone who's just watching us from a distance, who sees us in passing as they're going on the street, and you inspire them. So this card is, to me, very, very big on inspiration. It's very big on the fact that what we put into the world is in fact inspiring so many persons, and that we are in fact making a difference in our world. Once we are brave enough to walk these paths that may not necessarily be the easiest paths, that may be a bit risky, that may be a bit, difficult. But once we walk these paths, once we use our intellect and we continue walking in a way that is led by our knowledge, by what the intelligence we have, by what we have within ourselves, once we think things through and make proper decisions, then we will in fact reap success, not just for us, but for others. We are going to inspire others. Inspire those around you, right? And that is going to be the closing thought for today. I challenge you to inspire those around you. I challenge you to not just use your intellect for personal gain, but I challenge you to use your intellect to help those in your life. I challenge you to use your intellect to help those that you may just be passing on the street. I challenge you to follow your intellect, your creativity. Follow the things that led you to this point in life. Birth that idea. Create that thing that is in your mind. Let it flow from your mind's eye and pour it into the universe. No matter how small it might be, no matter how large it might be, pour that into the world and inspire those around you. Today's word is inspiration. Inspiration. I want you to inspire, and I want you to be inspired. I want you to look at the sky. Look at a tree, a leaf. Look at a building, a skyscraper, a car, a dollar, a coin. I want you to look and be inspired by something. So the homework from today is to get a journal and to write one thing or one person that has inspired you. It could just be a painting of a wall that you felt inspiration from. And then write one person that you think you've inspired. And if you can't write either of those things, go out and find them and then write them. Yeah. I also want you to write how you can use your intellect to create something that is an inspiration to others. How you can use your intellect to create something that is an inspiration to others. I said it twice, just so it sticks with you. That is your homework for today. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope that some parts of the reading resonated with you. Like I said, I sometimes go more with what the spirits are telling me or what I'm feeling from the universe. So the cards are my guide, but I pull my meanings from the energies of the world. So I just wanted to show the app today so you can see how the app can help some guidance. But as you may have noticed, most of what I said came from the spirits themselves. So once again, I hope that this resonated with you somewhat. If it does, if you like my readings, if you want to see more readings, please subscribe on my channel. Hit that bell that you can hear when new videos are posted. Please, if you have thoughts about my readings, if something I said, helped you, please comment. If you have a different interpretation for the cards, please comment. I just love discussions about tarot. So, thank you so much for joining me in my sacred space today. Love and light. Blessings.